So then that moves us on to the talk of silly season 2022. And could the Hungarian Grand Prix have been George Russell's final race for Williams? We do have, of course, a 4 week break until we head back to the Belgian Grand Prix. And my question for you, Tyler, is simply, will George Russell be a Mercedes driver by the time we get to Spa-Francorchamps? Because, very interesting with all the rumors surrounding him and Valtteri Bottas, George Russell is doing the Pirelli 2022 tire test with Mercedes at the Hungaroring as we speak. So what do you think, Tyler? Do you think that Toto Wolff will pull the trigger over the summer break? And if not, does he have that Mercedes seat locked up anyways?
No and no, Chris.
Okay.
I don't think he has either locked up right now. I think, for next season, it's I say 50-50 shot that it's Valtteri or George. We saw last year how close it was between those two, who's going to get the seat, Valtteri or George, but they signed Valtteri. And I think it's the same scenario right now, is that it could go either way for both of these drivers. Is that, do they bring Bottas back or the familiarity with the car, or do they bring George in to be the next challenger for Lewis? It's going to be interesting to see what happens between the two. For this season, I absolutely do not think that George Russell will be in the Mercedes in the Spa. I think that'd be way too much of a shakeup for this season. Valtteri still has a lot of talent, has driven decent this year. It's not his best season, of course, or not even close to his best season, but I don't think he deserves to lose his seat mid-season due to his performances. I think that he would have to see the end of the season out. And I think that's something that Mercedes should do to respect what Valtteri has done for them. He's come in and he's been a team player for the 4 years or 5 years, whatever it is now, that he's been at Mercedes. He's nonstop been a team player up until really the end of last season and this season. And I don't think you can punish him for everything he's done for Lewis Hamilton and for Mercedes as a team. That's just not something in my mind that would be right from Mercedes. Now, sports isn't always what's right. It's always what's best for business. So maybe George Russell is best for business mid-season. I don't know. I don't personally see it happening. How about yourself?
I would agree too. I'd be quite shocked if they made that switch in the middle of this championship deciding season, considering how close it is with Red Bull. And although Valtteri has had a very difficult 2021, he's still, of course, been with this team for the last 5 years. So doing that switch, I don't think would be a smart decision. So it was just interesting to kind of throw that out there. Maybe some of you out there think that he will be. I think that him doing the 2022 Pirelli tire test is an indication that he will be in that second Mercedes seat for 2022. That's just my opinion. But my opinion isn't that important right now, because I think the importance of a former world champion is what we should be talking about. Because guess who Jacques Villeneuve thinks is going to be in that second seat at Mercedes next year?
Nicholas Latifi.
No, keep going.
I thought he was going to go with a Canadian.
He did go with a Canadian. He thinks Lance Stroll will be in Mercedes for 2022 alongside Lewis Hamilton.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, his dad did, buy a bit of Aston Martin. And you would think logically that Aston Martin would be where he would stay. But an interesting one. I mean, that would be something way out of left field. And if you had a little bit of money on that, you'd be making some bucks on the return.
It sounds crazy, right? But when we think about it a little bit closer, Toto Wolff and Lawrence Stroll are very close. Lance Stroll is close with Toto Wolff as well. We've seen them, of course, interact many times before. We know that Lawrence Stroll desperately wants his son to become a world champion in Formula One. And yeah, he did purchase Aston Martin and put his son in that team so that he could do it there. But at the moment, Aston Martin are not there as championship challengers and probably won't be for the next couple of years. So it's not too far out of left field to consider that move. I think that when you look at maybe who Lewis Hamilton would prefer to have in the car, I'm not so sure if he'd want to be teammates with George Russell, because Russell is definitely not going to be Valtteri Bottas. Russell is going to fight, and I don't think that Russell will let's say, pull his car over as many times as Valtteri Bottas has in his stint with Mercedes. And we've seen that from Russell and the way he races some drivers, that he's not going to be necessarily a driver that's going to play the number 2 role. He's young, he's hungry, and he wants to be world champion himself. So I don't know if Lewis Hamilton necessarily wants that Nico Rosberg type of vibe with his teammate. Lance Stroll, I don't think, would give him the same problems. And I also think that Toto Wolff a few weeks ago said that his main priority, even if they decide to not go with Valtteri Bottas next season, is to ensure that Bottas has a good future in Formula One. And wouldn't that be a great future to do a swap with Lawrence Stroll and put Bottas in the Aston Martin alongside Sebastian Vettel? I think Aston Martin would gain a very solid driver, arguably a better driver than Lance Stroll, which you guys can debate. But it is very crazy, and I don't think that it's going to happen because Jacques Villeneuve, of course, is never short of an opinion. But it's a crazy one to talk about. But yeah, anyways, I just wanted to bring that up because I saw it just before coming on.
You know, the more you say it, the more you keep talking about it, the more I'm believing it. So
right?
if you, it's something, one of those things where if you keep talking about something for long enough, it eventually happens because just everyone's talking about it. So if enough people maybe talk about this, maybe it happens. Who knows?